Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the BNS channel. My name's EdieAnne. I'm just doing an update today because I went back on my channel and I realized that I haven't done one in a few weeks. So, yep, you can see that little bad boy. I have two. They have me on a 30-day heart monitor to make sure that nothing is going on, which I'm hoping they find nothing. Because of the AFib episode and the tachycardia, and because I'm still fairly symptomatic, they just want to make sure they know what they're looking at, and so the monitor is to help them figure that out. I'm leaving next week to head towards California for Scentsy family reunion, and I'm going to have to wear this while I'm there, which is really stinky. But that's okay. It's okay. And if I wear better shirts, then you probably wouldn't even know that it was there. As far as my surgery goes, I have lost 53 pounds so far. I am looking to purchase a better scale because the scale that I have is not very accurate. It's actually about 5 pounds difference. I had weighed myself one morning and then had been weighed at the hospital, the doctor's office, that afternoon for an appointment, and there was about a 5 pound difference, and mine was less. My one at home was actually 5 pounds less than the one at the hospital. So I'm trying to find one that's a little bit more accurate. If you guys have any suggestions on really accurate weight scales for home, I am all ears. I would take suggestions in a heartbeat. Then what else is going on? So I've lost 53 pounds. I feel really, really good. My energy is starting to kick in. My heart is kind of holding me back a little bit, but I will say that when I first left the hospital, my resting heart rate was in like the mid hundreds, meaning like 130s to 150s. And I noticed that about 4 weeks ago, it started to come down, and so it averaged about 90 to 100, like 120. And then like 2 weeks ago, it was averaging in just the 90s, and every once in a while I'd get 100, but not often. And now it seems to be averaging in the 80s and 90s. So it seems to be coming down on its own. My medicine seems to be regulated a bit. The medicine that I was on, I had to take it only if my, systolic was over 100 for my blood pressure. If my blood pressure was under 100 over whatever, then I wouldn't take the pill. Well, I mean, there were times that I wasn't taking that medicine, for a day and a half to 2 days because my blood pressure was lower. And that could not have been good on my body. I don't know. But I have been pretty regular the last week in like 86-ish, like 85, 86 for my pulse. And my blood pressure is like 107 over 80 something, 83, whatever. So the blood pressure is a little bit low, but it's not, I don't know. I don't think it's abnormal. I think it's okay. And when the times that I go under 90 or under 100 and I'm in the 90s, I don't take the medicine. But I don't know. It's a kind of a confusing thing. I'm not really sure what's happening. It could be just stress from the surgery. It could be just my body under stress from the changes that I'm going through. I mean, 53 pounds in 2 months is a lot. That's 25 pounds a month. So, maybe that's just a shock on the body. Who knows? But I seem to be regulating out a little bit. My energy is definitely picking back up. Some days when my heart rate is higher, I feel like an Energizer bunny just buzzing around, and then I pay for it later that night or the next day because I've done too much. But, oh well. But otherwise, things are going pretty good. As far as my eating, I'm doing protein and fiber right now. At least that's what was approved in my last 6-week checkup. And it is a little difficult to try and figure out what you should eat, especially when you're by yourself. I guess maybe it's easier when I'm by myself, but honestly, like, to make a whole haddock for my husband and I is much easier than to make a whole haddock for me when I'm only going to have, 6 bites. And so I find that I am doing more sandwiches than I'd like, because I know that bread is a big no-no for me. It doesn't metabolize right in my body, and I think that's a big reason why I had gained weight in the first place. So I'm going back to just kind of doing just meats, and maybe some veggies, and I'm trying to get, because I've been doing wheat bread, but I still don't feel good about it. And it fills me up too fast. The bread fills me up, and then I don't have room for protein. So they've always said protein first. I'm having to remind myself of that. It is not an easy journey. Can I just tell you that? It's not easy. I know it's worth it, definitely worth it, but it's not easy. And so, like, this evening we're going out to eat. I know, like, this evening we're going out to eat for dinner at a restaurant, and I find it really hard to find stuff to eat at restaurants. And then, of course, the waiter and waitresses is always like, "Oh, is that all you're gonna eat? Was everything okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just not really hungry." So it's just kind of a weird new normal for me. When I'm at a restaurant, I'm not going to sit there and go ahead and explain everything that I've gone through, because a lot of people don't understand and whatever. It's just, I don't know. I just don't want to get into it. It's not like I have anything to hide. I just don't want to get into it. So I have a really bad sore throat. So if you're seeing me swallow and that yawning and stuff, it's because it hurts so bad. So the eating is still a journey for me. I am chewing a lot more. I definitely chew before I swallow. Learned the hard way that if you don't, it really is not good. It's not fun at all. And then eating the right foods, I'm definitely getting better at. I learned that the hard way. You saw that in one of my last videos. So definitely staying away from the greasy foods, sugary foods. We had a baby shower for Marissa last weekend, and there was cake there. And if you guys know me, cake used to be its own food group for me. And I loved cake. There was a really strong addiction for cake, and I don't know why. It's just always been that way. And so having the cake there was difficult, and it kept haunting my mind. It's like any addiction. It was just constantly in my face, even when it wasn't. And I ended up tasting the frosting maybe 4 times with my finger. It didn't seem to bother me, and I was kind of upset mentally about that, because I was really hoping that it was going to make me vomit, so I wouldn't want it anymore. To the point where it played with my head so much that once everybody was gone, my addiction kicked in, and nobody was watching, and I had a teaspoonful of frosting with a bit of cake in it. And it didn't bother me, and I say it didn't bother me. I did have an upset stomach later, but it didn't do the dumping like I wanted it to. So it really comes down to, if you've had this surgery or you're thinking about it, it really comes down to mindset and your mind over matter, and the ability to not allow your addiction run you. And so now that I've learned that valuable lesson, I know that I have to be mindful, and I just can't have it anymore. It's just not something that I'm going to be able to eat. And it's not because I can't, it's because I shouldn't. I got into that place of being so sick and overweight because of those types of thinking. oh, I can just have a little piece. Well, one piece leads to another when you have an addiction, right? And so you just have to stay away from it completely. Why is this harder than smoking cigarettes and quitting? It's because cigarettes, you don't have to be around them. Food, you're around it all the time. All the time. It's such a social part of our lives that it's always there. So you just have to learn that it no longer can be a part of your life. And I'm very grateful for my surgery because it's helping me in that aspect of just not being hungry. But yet I still need to make those decisions. And something that I said, I don't know, about a week ago is, God, why are you in the road? I can tell you live in a small town when they stop traffic for a forklift. The doctor fixed my stomach, but she didn't fix my mind. And so it's up to me to fix the addiction part. You know, it's like being a cocaine addict, and I'm going to use this as an example. It may seem harsh, it may seem overdrawn for some, but even if you are not around cocaine, you still have the desire, if you're an addict, you still have the desire to do cocaine. If you're around it, it's even worse, right? Because then you want some, and then you start craving some. Even if there's no cravings and you're around it, if you've done it before, you're probably going to give in. It's very difficult to be around a substance when you have quit. And I speak from experience, guys, okay? So, like quitting smoking. It's hard to be around people that smoke, or you go into this mindset of it's disgusting. And so that's kind of what you have to do with the food addiction, is the same kind of thing. I mean, I don't know that you're going to say it's disgusting, but you just have to get to the point where you know that there are better choices and there's better food, and you have to eat to live and not live to eat, right? I mean, that's just such a hard struggle for so many people, including myself from before surgery and still now after. And the difference is that I'm not craving those things. So that's easier. But when you're around it, it's hard. And you've got to make the conscious decision that it's no longer for you. It's not something that you want to have in your brain, in your mind, or in your stomach. So that's kind of where I stand right now. We're working through the kinks. You know, I'm losing weight slowly at this point, not as fast as I thought I would. So it makes me wonder if it's the choices that I'm making. You know, today I went to Subway and looked at the menu and saw that the 9-grain wheat had the least amount of calories from any of the bread wraps or flatbread that they offer. And so I chose that. But then when I went to go take my first bite, I was like, God, I'm filling up on bread because there's so much bread. And so I ended up taking the chicken out of my sub, and I've been munching on that alone without the bread, because I want to make sure that I'm getting the protein in first. And I think that's been my struggle in the last week or two, because I've been doing the bread, and so I gotta cut the bread out. It fills me up too much, and it's not the one thing that I want in my stomach if I had to choose. You know what I mean? If I had to choose, wow. That truck was in my lane, going extremely fast, to the point where I had to pull over into the dirt. I don't know if you saw all that, but if you did, I'm sorry. But that just goes to show you that I am very attentive when I'm talking to you guys. So anyway, it's a journey, it's a struggle. I'd rather fill my stomach up with protein first than bread first, because obviously the bread is not the nutrition that I want in my body right now, especially when, you know, I don't have a lot of nutrition going in. So anyway, all right guys, just wanted to give you a little bit of an update. I'm going to California next week, and well, the week after, really, technically. I'm heading downstate next week. And then when I come back, I'll have a follow-up appointment with my doctor, my cardiologist for this, for my monitor, 30-day monitor. And then I don't think I have an appointment for my nutritionist and my surgeon or my psych doctor till August. So, but it's coming up quick. All right, have an amazing day. Go make it an amazing day for somebody else by paying it forward with kindness. God, I'm just jumbling my words today. Pay it forward with kindness, guys. Bye.